Divine Divas. Today is going to be a really fun episode. We are going to talk about alien encounters. We're going to talk about as in the words of Bethany Sprinkle, we're going to talk about Dior bags and the Oscar bags and how your frequency shapes how you see this. It really, truly does. And for those of you who don't know, I love reality TV, especially when it comes to showing us how we respond to things through frequency and interaction and all the things. So Bethany Frankel, she is a former housewife of New York. She was on the original Roni, and she's also the creator of Skinny Girl Margarita. That all happened, while she was on Roni. She sold that company for 100 million. She's Bethany is Bethany, right? And recently, or as of this recording, there were these drone-like these drones in the air. We're going to talk a lot about them, but there were these drones, and then there also were Oscar bags, they orbs. So there are drones in the air that make a little bit of noise, and they, while they don't look like our own technology, they're drone type things. And then there are these orbs, which are circular, and they actually do look like advanced alien tech. Okay. And so she had to start calling them Oscar bags and Dior bags because of the suppression on TikTok. Because they were suppressing, and there's a lot of lingo and things that you had to use on TikTok because of if you were speaking of things that were maybe a little bit more left leaning, a little bit more liberal, you would get dinged. And there's 7,672 bots on your page that were supposedly conservative. They're all bots. That many people don't exist. But so you had to use, this lingo so that people would so you could still have the conversation about what you want to talk about. And so in Jersey, I want to believe it probably was around election time, or maybe a little bit before, could be a little bit after. A lot of these drone type UAPs would pop up in the air. And of course, I'm American, so we're going to talk about the Jersey, but they're not just in Jersey, they're all around the US and they're all around the world, both drones and the orbs, but more orbs around the world, a lot of drones here in the US, and I'll talk about why. And so what we're going to do is talk about the truth, which is what you see, what you experience really is all filtered in through your frequency. You know, um, I'm Christy Michelle, and they do not call me the frequency and energetic ninja for nothing. And so I'm really going to break down what you need to do with your energetic state to experience the world and the planet beyond, right? In a way that feels more in alignment with you and who you are. And so first, let me talk about the UAPs, right? The air phenomenon. So you have the drones, and the drones, the Dior bags, right? Those are most likely, this is all for entertainment purposes only, right? Those are vehicles that have been created using alien tech by our government, or most likely like the shadowy government that is um, running things and trying to keep the public in fear. Fear is something that makes you very easily manipulable. And the reason why you can tell that those aren't true alien tech is because, I mean, they're loud. They've got all these seams. they're just, they're very, they're trying too hard. They're kind of like the girl who finally got some money and she bought every single name logo that you can you can find, and she wants everybody to know she's got some money now. It's that. Those are the Dior bags. Okay. So then you have the Oscar bags, which are um alien tech. And my opinion of these two things are what that government, that part of the government, because even the main, like your senators and your House of Representatives and even the president and all those people, they don't even know all the details of what this organization is doing. And if you um, want more details, I will put a link. I think it's called Beyond Disclosure, or it's something by Stephen Greer. I'm not recommending him um, because I agree with every single thing, but I do think that he is a an expert on this, and I will find the name of his let me see. I will find a name of his documentary, and it was very, very good. My sister and I watched it, and it was the battle. It's called Battle for Disclosure. So I'm going to include a link to that. Just it's $10. I watched it on my Apple TV. You can watch it on anything. You just pay the $10. It's so worth it. But he's mostly talking about the Dior bags, right? It's the thing that parts of the government created, and it's really to create fear and create a certain narrative about extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings to create fear so that we're running away from them. Whereas the Oscar bags are really truly interdimensional beings, and they're not here to hurt us or to invade us or to do anything nefarious with us. They're really here to help us with the Earth ascension, and they're also here to support us in a lot of different things. Like, for example, a lot of the tech that they do have, which our government does have access to, but doesn't want us to have access to, is because they have a lot of access to technology, which would mean we don't need to use fossil fuels to warm our homes, things like that. And that, what would that be? That would be energy for everybody, right? That would take a lot of money out of the pockets of the energy companies and big oligarch type corporations. And that's not something that oligarch corporations want to do. And so if you look at some of the media, well, not media, some of the entertainment, it was created to create fear of other beings, interdimensional beings, and make you feel like, oh, if they come, they're invading us, and really bring you on the side of hate, right? And if you look at the way that they've been able to create division on this planet and let us forget that we are one and we are supposed to be together, the way they've created division on this planet is for us to have someone to hate, right? Oh, this group wants this, and this group is taking this away from you and putting you in scarcity, putting you in fear, because in fear you are easily manipulated. However, if you understood what the other, like what the technology access would be, what learning our full and complete history would be able to do, those type of things, if you knew that that's what the possibility was, and that these beings are higher frequency beings, which means that they aren't in the low frequency of fear and dread and like anger and all of those things. They are in the higher fifth dimensional, or way higher than that, but they are in that type of frequency, and they're here to help us with the earth ascension, and they're watching it with their popcorn like, yes, let's go down there and help them, because there is such a big group of, well, a small, very wealthy group of oligarchs, and that don't want that to happen. So again, this is not about conspiracy theory, especially. you get to listen to this and feel what aligns and what doesn't. And then also, the most important piece is going to be the vibration piece. So let's get to the vibration piece. Okay. Your frequency is your filter. So I gave you a little bit of the background so that you could see another version of what it would be to have interdimensional beings come onto this planet, so that you wouldn't just only think about that last alien movie that, where they were just eating all the people and using them for food. So so I wanted to like shift that frequency so that you could really see what other possibilities out there exist, and you could shift your frequency when it comes to what you think about the Dior bags and the Oscar bags. Okay. So, if you knew that everything in your life was happening through the lens of frequency, through your energy filter, then it would change how you interpret and experience things. And this is why two people can look at the exact same story or event and walk away with totally different ideas of what just happened. And then let me give you an example. One of my old mentors, she was just feeling so amazing, and she opened an email from a client. And that email was, talking about needing a refund or asking for questions about something else, needing more information. And she's just so high vibe. And she's like, okay. And so she responds back in such a light way. We could do this. We could do this. It's going to be da 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 ba ba boom. Right. So she sends this thing out, and she's so happy, and it's so great. Well, like a week later, she gets another email from that person. She's not in such a high vibe. She's not feeling good right now. So she reads the email, and she's like, wow, this person is so rude. Like, how dare this person XXX? She goes back and reads the initial email, and she's like, oh, they were so rude. How could I not see that? And so she doesn't respond immediately, because she knows that in her frequency right now, she probably would put something aggressive, dismissive, like something that just was like, right? But she was laughing because she's like, I see, they were really mean, and I can't believe how I thought that they were really nice, and all of this stuff. So she goes and does her work, working on her vibration, shifting her vibration, really coming to a neutral standpoint, and allowing herself to be like, let me come back and read both of these in a neutral standpoint. So she comes back and she reads it from a neutral standpoint. And from the neutrality, she sees that, oh, okay, this person had a problem. And in my response, I went ahead and fixed it. This person responded, and that wasn't the way they wanted me to fix it. So, oh, this is even a better solution. So do you see how, like, this is just even 3 stages of, if you're really, really high vibe, you can respond. And even though that it doesn't make that person respond even better, but if you're still high vibe, you're going to read that response, even if the intention was for it to be negative. You're going to read it in a way and then find a solution. Remember, you cannot find solutions in the energy of the problem. The energy of the problem and the solution are totally different. The frequencies are totally different, which means that if you are at a certain frequency, you cannot access the most amazing solution. Okay, so she responds back in the more, neutral, higher frequency, and everything gets resolved. So I just give you that example to say, depending on what frequency you are at when you are thinking about the interdimensional beings and them coming onto this earth, and if you're thinking about what you've been conditioned to think about, right? Enemy, scary, they're coming here, they're going to eat us, they're going to take over us, it's a quiet place, we can't speak, it's so terrifying, la 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 la. That makes you very highly manipulatable, for lack of a better word. Okay, so if we take the same concept, we apply it to the Dior bags, we apply it to the Oscar bags. I want you to know that your frequency rooted in fear, control, and distrust, you are going to see these things as threats. But if you tune into your higher frequency, you're going to recognize them as something entirely different. You're going to experience it as something entirely different. And you're going to see the guides, the witnesses, the protectors of one of the greatest shifts that humanity has ever seen. And outside of humanity, right? This is something that, from what I'm hearing, is something that no planet has ever experienced, with a planet rising in its own ascension. So the Earth is rising in its frequency and it's in ascending, and so is the participants, right? If they so choose. And we'll do a lot of like episodes on 3D and 5D. So if if the interdimensional beings, right, and we know that they're not here to harm us, and they're here to watch the greatest show in the planet, in the cosmos, then what we get to do is we get to align with that frequency. So let me give you a little bit more details about this. There was this show, and I cannot remember what it was. It was a show on Netflix, and it was about alien encounters. And it started off with the Americans, right? Because it did all around like the different countries of the world. And so it started off with the Americans, and it was so fear-based. Oh, they're coming in my window and they're trying to destroy my crops and they're killing my animals. And it was just so much fear-based, because it could have been from the Dior bag people, but let's say they really were the interdimensional beings. Okay. And so the American side was so like so fear-based. And so you fast forward, you keep watching it, and it gets a little lighter, but there's still a lot of like scariness, from all the European countries, right? So then we get to Japan. Japan doesn't have a specific idea about interdimensional beings. In fact, they were, one of the girls was talking about light language, and she was talking about connecting with the international beings, and she was just talking about how they're light, they're loving, they're here to help us, and this thing's kind of like that. So they just, overall, the Japanese had just a different energy about the way they talked about interdimensional beings. And so there was a nuclear disaster in Japan, and it was at Fukushima, the power plant, in 2011. And so in this Netflix video, they showed like this disaster could have been like way, way worse. And let me show you what made it not way worse. So the Netflix video showed how people were filming in the skies after this, power plant disaster. Out of the ocean came these UAPs, tons of them. They were white, and they were just moving around, and they flew around that area, did some things, and then instantly the radiation levels dropped. Was that a coincidence? Not a chance. These beings intervened for this country, not to control people, but to protect the earth that they're living in, especially if they're living in the oceans. Protect the earth that they that is playing a big role in the galaxy, in this Milky Way, that if the earth is destroyed and something happens to devastate it, then could throw all other planets out of whack and really protect us from wiping ourselves out. I mean, they truly have the technology, the knowledge, the deeper understanding of the universal law, and most of them are at a much higher frequency. And so they are not trying to come here to eat you or to destroy you, but they want to watch you rise in frequency, help this ascension, and even give you a little bit of the, there's so many people that are starving in this world. I looked it up the other day because I have another podcast coming, and we're going to talk about, is it possible for billionaires to be conscious? And I found two that are amazing, and world hunger could be ended with between 12 billion and it was $330 billion. Okay. We have billionaires that are worth like 340 billion or maybe even more at the time of this recording because of some of the nefarious things that they do. Um, and so one person worth 300, and let's say if this one person was worth $400 billion, they could take 330 billion of that, rid the world of hunger, teach the people how to fish, like, you know what I mean, do that kind of stuff, and still have $70 billion. Like, still, like, be still wealthy as heck. When we have the fifth D consciousness, not that you're going to have money in that, it's just going to be a different economy, and there's a different way that, well, not even an economy, there's just going to be a different way of being in the 5D. But just think, if as we rise into 50 consciousness, and as we're living in this consciousness and living more from an expanded space, and more money is in the hands of people who have that consciousness, these are the types of changes that we would make. When we have, so if you had some beings that are in that higher consciousness, that are in the community-based living and community-based, like governments, or leading each other based on love and appreciation and joy and community and things like that, then you would do different things with technology, right? You wouldn't hide non-fossil fuel technology. You would be like, we need to share this with the world so that everybody has light, so that everybody has Wi-Fi, so that everybody has access to all of this amazing stuff. And so that is what the purpose of these interdimensional beings, it's to keep us, like, to help us rise, help us remain on the track that we are on, the majority of the world, which is rising into the consciousness of the 50 consciousness. Okay. So your frequency determines how you experience this, which means your energy, your vibration dictates what kind of experiences you will see. So if you're rooted in fear, you might see a UAP and think invasion, war, control. If your frequency is higher, you will see it for what it is, curiosity. Wow, I wonder what they're here for. Or, oh, they're here for, to help us. Oh, they're here to break us out of a sleepwalking state so that we can really remember our divinity, so that we can remember I'm the divine diva, so I can remember who the F I am. And so this is why, especially now with the ascension, this is why it's so important for you to manage your vibration. It is non-negotiable. It is your job. Like, it needs to be a part of your job. Like, you need to manage your vibration like your life depends on it. Now, managing your vibration, I can do a whole podcast on it. It has nothing to do with not feeling fear, not feeling sadness, not feeling anger. No. You feel those things. You allow yourself to feel those things. You allow yourself to recognize triggers. You allow yourself to experience that fully, so that you could say, oh, this is interesting, right? You do it from an observation space, and you also allow your body to move through those feelings so it doesn't get stuck in your body. And so it's more of a conscious way of living. And if you guys remember all of the nervous system regulation stuff that came out, like, you first learned how to manifest. Then you learned, okay, I'm not holding on to my manifestations because my body, I'm like letting them go, or let's shift my subconscious and all this kind of stuff. And then you learned, oh my goodness, not only shifting my subconscious, I need to ground my body, and I need to, I get to learn how to, be emotionally intelligent and all of these things. And I also get to learn, what it feels like for my body to feel grounded, for my body to be able to feel something and then move through it, raise my frequency, all of those things. All of that, and the way the information came through, is important, because all aspects of that are very important. And so when you know that managing your vibration is non-negotiable, then you begin to respond versus react. You begin to observe instead of just taking what has been fed to you as truth or as like this is just the way it is. You learn to ask more questions from a space of curiosity. You learn to focus on your emotional intelligence and intentionally raise your frequency. Because once you are grounded, aligned, and tap into your God frequency, your divinity, you don't live in fear and you aren't manipulatable. You're not easy to manipulate. And you operate from a space of power. And so this is how you manage your vibration and really remind yourself to stay out of chaos and fear and into curiosity and a higher frequency. And these are 4 things that you get to do. Number 1, you want to respond instead of react. When something happens, you don't want to go with the first thing, right? You want to wait for a moment, take a beat, take a breath, breathe. Most of us aren't out there breathing. Breathe. Okay. And let your body process this before you speak out. Reaction is an impulse, response is power. So you want to take a beat and say, this is interesting. Is this true? Is this the way I want to see things? And then you can respond with power. Number 2, you want to increase your emotional intelligence because guess what? When your emotions are high, your intelligence is low. And what that means is you get to feel your emotions, but don't let them run the show. You get to observe them and let them flow, let them move through. Because guess what? Emotions are just energy in motion, right? It's your feelings are guides, and then emotions are like your emotions are the power behind the feelings, and they just are moving through your body, your cells, your tissues, and then they dissipate because they're not meant to last for days on days on days. Like when you truly allow yourself to feel what you need to feel, express those things and like scream into your pillow or do whatever you need to do, cry when you want to cry, like feel all those things. When you feel it and don't like stuff it down and try to deny it, when you feel it, then you can say, okay, whew, now what do I want? And then you are able to move forward and come back to neutral. And neutrality is where you can build from. Number 3, intentionally raise your frequency. Now, this isn't about fake positivity. This really is about choosing better thoughts. And when you're in my world, when you're in the Aligned Soul world, I talk a lot about like choosing better thoughts and choosing outrageously fun thoughts, like choosing things that actually create some frequency and emotion in your body. And you're like, yes, I like that. That feels good. Moving, like really feeling something that feels moving, right? In addition to moving your body, I do what I call manifestation in motion walks. And manifestation in motion walks means that I'm walking and I'm talking and I'm speaking into my existence like exactly the way my life gets to be. I'm speaking big, big truth over myself, over my life, over my business. That is how you intentionally bring these higher frequency feelings, thoughts into your body. Number 4, set a clear intention. Every day, today I said, this gets to be the best day of my life, right? I was like, this gets to be the best day of my life, like a musical. I was like, and I set a clear intention that how am I going to feel like I am living like in a movie and in the best movie ever, and the best movie that just is so high vibe and there's no crazy moments and it's just the best, right? And so just really being present in every moment and allowing myself to just deliberately decide that today is going to be the best freaking day and just living every moment in that. Does that mean every single moment in my day is going to be the best freaking moment? No, there may be a moment that's like, oh, that's not what I wanted. Or you go on autopilot and you're not feeling anything. You're like, blah, 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 right? And then I remind myself, oh no, the best freaking day. This is the most amazing day. This is the best freaking day of my life. And that's what I do. And so when you do these four things, you will help yourself to manage your vibration and stay out of being easily manipulated. Who wants to be easily manipulated? And if you don't, and you are listening to this because you know you don't, stay out of chaos, stay out of fear. If you are afraid of something, if something, really look at that energy and say, wow, is this true? Is this a fact? Is this something I want? Like, is this what I want to create? And if the answer is no, it's like, okay, right? I mean, of course, there's fear of like, oh, I'm going to take this step and my business is so scary. I'm going to invest in this thing and I'm really scared. But when you do it and when you actually do it, you're like, okay, there was nothing to be afraid of. So that kind of fear we know how to move through. I'm talking about fear that has been manufactured and you've watched something on TV over and over again and you fear, you know, think anything that's different from you. And you're like, right? Or I should be afraid that this person or this person who got this job is trying to take all the jobs away. No, no, no. There's always something for you. There is not scarcity, right? So anything that's in scarcity, anything that's in lack, anything that's in chaos, but not the good chaos, not the chaos where there's magic and you're like, oh my God, things are moving fast and I don't know where to go, but I know it's going for me. Like, not that chaos. I'm talking about the crazy chaos, the negative chaos. When you see anything like that, choose, get into curiosity, observe, and get out of reaction. So let me give you some final thoughts. Look, interdimensional beings, which is the way I like to talk about them, they are not something to fear. They're really here to witness the ascension of Gaia, the shift from the third density to the fifth density. And how you experience open contact and when more of these beings are, you start to see them. Oh, I have another podcast coming in. We're going to talk about the Miami event. What happened in the Miami Mall. It's going to be so fun. Okay. But how you experience these beings really determines and depends on your own frequency. And so while people are talking about the Dior bags, and if the purpose of those Dior bags are to make you afraid, if the purpose of those Dior bags are to strike fear in your heart, then you get to say, oh, that's interesting. What do I choose? Because the veil is down. We can create so much more rapidly. And I was just thinking about I'm talking about instant manifestation and Sugar Baby, and we are in actual recording of it at the time of this recording. And so we've done 2 episodes, and one of the biggest things that we talk about is how things are happening a lot faster. And where it used to take maybe about 68 seconds for something to actually unfold in your reality, when you are so focused and your energy is so focused on something specific, it is now happening so much more rapidly. It's not 17 seconds of a thought, then you get another thought, and then you attract another thought. Now it's 5 seconds. It's even quicker. It can be instantaneous often. And so when you have that much power to create and it's that fast, that means you can go either way. And so if you decide, I am the creator of my reality, I am divinity in the body, I am the divine diva, then you get to start thinking about, what am I really thinking? What am I creating? And is this fear, or is this chaos, or is this conditioning helping me create the life that I want to live, or is it preventing me from creating the life that I want to live? So on that note, keep your energy and your frequency as high as you can. Keep your energy aligned. Keep your power anchored, because this world and the cosmos beyond are responding to you. Hugs, kisses, and all the feels. Stay bougie, be healed, and keep it divine.